up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. Today we've got an interview with Chris Johnson. Chris is a Daniel Bryan player collector. You guys know I love player collectors. I love people who collect teams, just getting into the weeds as far as what they like to collect and odd collections. I saw Chris going hard for Daniel Bryan cards on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I bet this guy's got some great information that could help a lot of people as far as how to buy, how to collect, different ways you can collect, navigating it, etc. And we had a great chat today. Make sure to sit back and grab a beverage, grab something to take some notes with, because you're going to learn a lot in this interview, I think. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like wrestling cards, if you like trading cards. Give me a thumbs up. Without further ado, let's get into the interview with Daniel Bryan player collector Chris Johnson. What's up, everybody? We've got Chris Johnson on here today. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I kind of pulled you out of nowhere, and I was like, hey, let's do this interview because you've sparked something that really piques my interest that I like to talk about. But before we get to that, just tell people who you are, what you do, and how you got into wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Chris. I'm from the mean streets of Spring Lake Park, Minnesota, just outside of Minneapolis. Maybe not so mean. Yeah, but I got into wrestling. I don't even remember. I've been into wrestling my entire life, since long before I could remember. I think a lot of the people in my family like wrestling, and that's just kind of how it started. But yeah, I got into cards maybe around 1990. It would have been the classic WWF Series 2, the WrestleMania cards. We had a convenience store about a block and a half away that would sell those cards and sticks of WWF gum. The gum was horrible. It was sour and awful, but I needed it because it was wrestling. So I'd get a stick of gum every time we'd go there, and a pack of cards or a pack of the stickers, whichever one they had in stock at the time. And that's how my love of wrestling cards began. So it's been a while.
So quick question on the gum, because I'm wondering if you're actually chewing the same gum that I've been talking about for a while. Was it the sour gum that had the paper card in it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that stuff. Like there was a dime store that's in the middle of nowhere, and when in the summertime when we would go to like the creek or the river or something for some, just go swimming or whatever, we'd always stop by there and they had it for 10 cents, and I was like, the gum I don't care about, but I want these cards.
Exactly. I hated the gum. It was so sour, and it was just ridiculous. But yeah, the cards
yeah.
are great.
So I brought you on here because you are a Daniel Bryan player collector, and soft spot in my heart for player collectors or people that have kind of interesting projects that they're working on. So what got you started down the Daniel Bryan player collector rabbit hole?
So I've been following Daniel Bryan's career for a long time, since he was in Ring of Honor as Bryan Danielson, I guess. And then I started getting hardcore collecting into cards again around 2011. So I've collected cards my entire life, but I was never really a hardcore collector. I'd buy packs here and there, maybe a box here and there. But around 2011, for whatever reason, I saw a pack of the 2011, I think Classic Series at Target, and I bought it. I pulled a Daniel Bryan and a CM Punk and a Caitlyn. So I collected all three of them at first when I first became a player collector. Then eventually I sold off most of my Caitlyn cards and stopped collecting CM Punk, but Daniel Bryan just stuck. He's my favorite wrestler. I think he's the best. And that's why I aspire to be the Daniel Bryan of Daniel Bryan card collecting, I think.
I've actually seen, that's kind of surprising to me, not because of who he is or anything, but as far as like either just modern collectors or wrestling collectors in general, I really don't see that many player collectors. So when I saw you constantly posting on Twitter, I was like, man, I got to talk to this guy. So how many other Daniel Bryan collectors are out there? Because most of the time, from what I know, if you start collecting a player, you start meeting the same kind of people because you're all chasing the same cards and kind of talking same circle.
Yeah, that's the thing. I actually don't know. So I buy most of the cards on eBay, so it's all anonymous. I can't track the buyers down and then try to finagle the cards from them. So I actually don't know how many Daniel Bryan collectors there are. I don't know. I haven't seen too many on Twitter. I guess I did message with the guy on eBay who had a decent printing plate collection. But I like the printing plates, but I don't really chase after them that much. So
That's what I was getting ready to ask, because some people do consider those, like, if they're a super collector, they want everything they can possibly get. Is that kind of what you're going for, or do you have, I guess, more of a relaxed approach, just picking up stuff as you go?
Yeah, it depends. If I can get printing plates for a decent price, I'll pick them up. There are only really two printing plates that I'm chasing. It's the 2016 Then Now Forever, because I have the rainbow of the actual cards, and I have two of the printing plates. But otherwise, if I see a printing plate for 20 bucks or less, I'll pick it up. But I don't really go after them. I'm not sure I consider them cards. I do consider them part of my collection, so I can count 914 Daniel Bryan cards that I have, and the printing plates are included in that.
Do you have any way online? I know some people use trading card database to do this. Is that what you use to keep track of yours as well?
Yeah, so I have a spreadsheet. I have my Google Sheets, and I use the trading card database. According to that, I'm 52.3% complete. But there's a lot of printing plates I don't have that are included in there. So I like.
Are you the number one Daniel Bryan collector on there, I'm assuming?
I assume so. I don't know how to check that. I was kind of poking around. I didn't see. I know he's number one in my collection because that's all I put in there. But
Right.
I don't know if I'm number one in the world. I like to assume I am.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got that many cards of him, I would say that's a pretty good shot. There's a way to do it on there, because I've seen some other people post, and once again, getting into player collecting, I can't remember the guy's name on Twitter, but he's like a huge Cecil Fielder like collector for baseball, and I'm like, man, that is just awesome that somebody picks. I'm not going to say he's random, and neither is Daniel Bryan, but it's not like that tippy top guy that you expect. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to talk to you. So what are you seeing? What's some pros? There's pros and cons to collecting both, any type of kind of oddball, obscure player collection or a team collection, whatever. Anytime you start down that rabbit hole, you're going to run into some really good things that help you be like, this is why I collect. But then you're also going to run into some cons. So what are some pros of being a player collector?
Yep, the pros, just specifically in my little Daniel Bryan player collection, is that, like you mentioned on your live stream, that he's not a superstar, but he is, he's well respected within the wrestling industry. He's well known within
For sure.
within our little universe, but he's not a superstar. So in that sense, if you're collecting on a budget, you can build a great Daniel Bryan collection for not a lot of money. Like if you're collecting Hogan, it's going to be, tens of thousands of dollars if you have the equivalent of the Daniel Bryan cards I have. So that's one pro specifically for Daniel Bryan, or similar wrestlers, players, what have you.
Right.
The biggest con, I guess, would be the obvious one, that you're never going to be able to collect everything. It's almost impossible. I guess it is impossible. But that's something I had to come to grips with a long time ago, because when I started collecting Daniel Bryan 2011, 2012, it was possible to get everything. And that ship started to sail around, late 2013, when he started really, really, really taking off. So that's kind of that's a big con if you're a completist, or if you have perfectionist tendencies, which I do.
Right.
But
I think anybody does, actually, when you get into one of those little niche projects like that, and you're not just a set collector, or if you don't want, like, hey, I want the PSA 10, blah, 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 whatever. If you're not one of those two guys, you're kind of working down one of these rabbit holes in a collection. So to kind of piggyback off that, though, you kind of spawned a question. Do you think that's actually a good thing, though? Because if you're a completist and you're a player collector, you're going to constantly be on the hunt.
Yeah. And that's the fun part, kind of, I'm on eBay multiple times throughout the day. Hopefully my boss doesn't watch this and see that, but I have the alerts, the saved searches. I'm always on eBay. And if there's a Daniel Bryan card I need, I will buy it. Hopefully I get a good price on it. But yeah, that's part of that's the fun part. And, and another big pro is the high when you pull your player from a box. Like,
Right.
I've only done it twice. I've pulled 2 Daniel Bryan autographs, but the high was just intense. Even though one of the cards was from 2020 Chrome, I already had 2 copies of that autograph, but I pulled another one on Christmas, and it was just the elation was, it was great. And so that's a big pro, and that's part of why I do it, I guess. It is. There's a beautiful irony in collecting Daniel Bryan and all the Daniel Bryan merchandise I have beyond just the cards, and that like he's not a capitalist, and I don't think he would approve of someone same amount of money on his stuff. So that's a little funny, but it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I guess another con would be, I don't want to say price gouging, but I'm going to say price gouging because I can't think of a better term. But like, I think, there's a little bit of a target on you if you collect a certain player and people want to charge, $40 for a bronze parallel of something. And and I get tempted to buy it, but I never do. Yeah, so that's kind of another con. But overall, I think the pros are they outweigh the cons by a long shot.
We'll kind of go off the beaten path a little bit. Do you collect any other cards of anything?
Right. Yeah. I actually was a wrestling set collector for a long time. And so I collect, all kinds of wrestling cards. And I was actually thinking of quitting that altogether, but it was actually you who tweeted me to say, don't quit collecting, just evolve.
Right.
And that's kind of how I went back into collecting just Daniel Bryan. I figure I'm spending all this money on sets and all this money on Daniel Bryan cards. I can just spend all my money on Daniel Bryan cards instead. But I don't really collect a lot of other cards. In terms of wrestling, I guess I play or collect Allison Kay and Piper Niven as well. I collect some baseball cards. I'm a Minnesota Twins fan, unfortunately, and so I'll collect some of those singles, but mostly Daniel Bryan.
So since you were a set collector and you kind of know the different aspects of wrestling cards and the hobby, do you think there are any advantages to being a player collector over a set collector, or just maybe a different way to do it? Like, since you've done both, how do you perceive that now?
Yeah, I guess for me, I just like to focus my money on just the Daniel Bryan instead of what I'd spend on boxes trying to chase that set. I'm a big fan of blaster boxes. I buy maybe hobby box per set, but I love the blaster boxes because a lot of times they'll have the store exclusives and whatnot. So I think that's an advantage in that, instead of, buying 10 blaster boxes per set, I can just put that money toward Daniel Bryan. I guess on the other side of that, there's a little bit, I guess, of downtime if you're a player collector, where if you're collecting sets, you can just keep going until you complete that set. But if you buy all of the 2020 Chrome Daniel Bryans, then you don't really have anything to do until the one of one pops up or until the next set comes out. But it's a little bit, there's pros and cons both ways. Like I know Daniel Bryan wasn't in the recent fully loaded set, so I didn't have to spend any money there. I didn't have to buy fully loaded cards.
I think that could be an advantage, actually, now that you put it that way. Like if you're kind of sitting on the sidelines because you don't see anything you truly want, that is an advantage of a player collector, a team collector, whatever. Because I think you can wait till, like you said, that one of one's going to pop up, and all of a sudden you've got this money that you haven't just been thrown away on nonsense that you really don't care about anyway. And there you go, you can pull the trigger. I'm sure that's happened to you a few times.
Quite a few times, yeah. I see that one of one and I just pounce. But I don't buy every one of one that I see. I mean, I could, but I do want to be slightly responsible with my finances. I do have the background in accounting, so I try to be a little frugal, I guess. But
love it.
Sure.
That's me too. I don't hardly pay market price for anything, and I get a lot of times people, if I'm like buying out a collection or something, they're like, "You're just going to resell these, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's part of business. You can do the work yourself on eBay, or you can just, I'll take it from you and I'll do the work." So speaking of that, how do you fund your PC? Is this just life money? Is it stuff you're selling? Like how does that work for you personally?
So it's been a lot of just my money until fairly recently. I did start selling on Mercari. I sold a lot of old wrestling shirts, and I made a cool net there. So I'm using that to kind of fund my cards. I never really looked at cards as an investment until relatively recently.
Yeah.
And so, so what I paid for my Daniel Bryan cards, I've gotten a ton of deals. I've gotten a lot of really good deals. but I've overpaid a little bit too over the course of a decade. But I think overall, I think I'm up pretty well.
Do you think? Well, I guess I should say, have you sold any of the Daniel Bryan cards to maybe move into another one, or is it mainly just duplicates you've sold? Any cool stories with that?
No, I have mostly sold duplicates. It's like when I posted that I was going to be sorting through my 5,000 count boxes, and a lot of people wanted cards from there, and I get sentimentally attached to these cards, which I shouldn't do. But I don't think I could sell a Daniel Bryan. Like I have like 10 copies of his 2010 WWE. A lot of people think it's a rookie card because they're not aware of the previous cards. I have a bunch of copies of that, and I probably should sell them now that it's like a $5-6 card, but I can't pull the trigger on that yet.
Do you have any graded cards, or are you like, how do you store them? That's always something else that's really popular with player collectors. Like for me, if I'm just doing, like, we'll say a Hogan, I just want like the best of the best, I'll just have a few and they're slabbed. But if I want to do like my Dennis Rodman collection, that's all in binders, and I don't care about the condition of them. So how do you store and display yours?
Yep. So I'm a little in between. I did have everything in binders, everything, which was just ridiculous with some of the one-of-ones. I did have them.
Oh yeah.
But I recently moved all my Daniel Bryans out. They're now in shoe boxes that I got from BCW.
Okay.
So I have five shoe boxes filled with Daniel Bryans. They're all in top loaders or one touches. I only have one graded Daniel Bryan right now. It's 2015 Chrome. I think the shimmer refractor. I think it's an 8. I bought it graded. I wasn't really into graded cards until fairly recently. So I bought it graded. I didn't care about the grade. I didn't really care too much about the condition, because to me, I don't think I'm ever going to sell any of my Daniel Bryans. I obviously want the best condition, but if there's a pretty rare card and it's in crappy condition, like a few that I've encountered recently, I guess it's not the end of the world.
That's how I am. I mean, like, in my opinion, if you are a collector, like a player collector or a team collector, something like that, unless there's a specific card you can't find raw and you need to buy it graded, if you're not reselling, I really don't see any purpose in grading. Because, like, in my opinion, even if you got like a damaged or a fake card, if you still need that card for your collection, it's part of your collection. And if you didn't spend very much on it, then who cares? Like, that's one aspect that I think grading, like, it doesn't have any place in if you're not trying to resell, or if you don't have like super high end cards. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. I recently sent my first few cards in for grading. A couple Alexa Bliss cards, a couple Daniel Bryans.
Nice.
And I was planning on selling the Hogan and the Alexa Bliss to pay for more Daniel Bryan cards, or to pay to get more graded.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, I don't care too much about the grade. I want a good grade, but I just like the feel of the slabs. I think they feel really. So,
well, and on some of the stuff, my thing, and I'm sure you've seen it on some of the videos, it's authenticity, especially on that older stuff. Like, even if you're getting like a BGS, PSA, SGC1, the fact that it's not a fake is worth it all right there. Because I mean, we're seeing tons of reprints and fakes and all kinds of stuff popping up with today's technology recently. Have you ran into any of that with your Daniel Bryan stuff?
I don't think I have any fakes. I have gotten some damaged cards from sellers who were just reckless. Thankfully, a lot of the sellers bust out their best roll of paper towels to
my, yeah.
I guess that's an interesting story. I bought a 2020 Transcendent green Daniel Bryan autograph, and the seller, he wrapped it in paper towels, whatever. But there were some stains on the paper towels. I think I paid a little bit of a premium for some.
Wow. One of one.
Yeah, one of one. So that was a little annoying. Otherwise, I don't know. There's just a thrill in going out to the mailbox and getting an envelope with Daniel Bryan, and just the best.
So I'm not familiar. Is most of his stuff, I'm going to guess this is a no, but I would assume the biggest chunk of it is with Topps. But is there some other companies out there, whether it's like, say, foreign bootleg stuff or indie stuff? What else is out there that Daniel Bryan has?
Yep. So there's a bunch of Russian bootlegs that are in my collection. I love those cards. Just knowing that they just look cool. They have.
And are those WWE bootlegs, or are they from another company?
Yep, they're WWE bootlegs. Yeah, but I know he has some. He does have some independent cards. I think it's CWTE, I think was the company. They released a card of his in 2012, which is actually pretty early. He's got some Phil Singer Games cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got. I think he has 4, and I have all of those. He had the big Ring of Honor, the jumbo card that came in DVDs. Then there's of course the 2004 BBM card from Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bulk of my card or his cards, my collection are from Tops. I do have some random, like the bootlegs that I mentioned. I have Valentine's. They actually have a Daniel Bryan Valentine card and a lenticular.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yep. So I count those in my collection. A lot of the Slam Attacks. I love those cards. Especially.
Me too. Highly underrated, I think, and like especially with like the newer sets that have come out. Like I've heard a lot of people say I don't like the designs of the autos with the sticker look terrible. I think they're really cool looking.
Yeah, I love the design, especially. I really started collecting those during I think in 2018 they did the Slam Attacks Universe, and I love that design. Some of the earlier designs, I guess, aren't so great, but really I think they've been knocking it out of the park recently. Those are cool too because they have Indian variants. So if you get packs from India, they're a little thinner, and the champion cards maybe have different. They may be gold or silver instead of whatever they release in the UK. So those are cool. I do count those duplicates as unique cards in my Daniel Bryan collection. I think they also have German variants, which aren't different at all. But yeah, the bulk of the cards are Tops, which is cool because it's fairly uniform. But it is nice to have those random oddballs too.
So you just said something that kind of, let me wrap this into a package here for you. Talk about variants, and we've talked about parallels, chasing those down. However, you were a completist and a set collector. We both know that many people in the wrestling card hobby, more than any other thing, hate parallels and numbered cards and variations. So where do you stand on that?
I love them. I love parallels. Golds are my favorite. I like the ones and ones that are numbered to 10, not always gold. And before I mentioned a little bit of downtime where, you kind of have to wait until the next set comes out. And so to keep myself occupied, I'll collect, right now I'm trying to collect 2019 Money in the Bank, all of the gold Daniel Bryans. So all 10 of them, I'd like to get all of those. It's not going to happen now because I just bought one and the seller sent it to someone else. He got our packages flipped around. So that sucks. But I also like to collect the number 1 of each numbered set. So I do count those as separate cards in my collection too. If I have a 1 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10,
right?
I cheat a little bit, but hey, they have different serial numbers, so
it's different card, I think. And that rarity scarcity that I'm always talking about, you just proved it. The fact that there's only 10, and you yourself are counting each one of those as a separate card. Some people may not do that. So they may think, oh, well, if I just have the 1, then that's all I need. But here you are like trying to hoard them all, which then nobody can get them. So that's always what I'm talking about, as opposed to the base sets, which, years, like seriously, think about it right now. Can you think of any base set that is like jumped up in value or you really wish you would have held on to as opposed to switching over to Daniel Bryan?
No, I can't really. I guess I haven't monitored it too much, but yeah, I can't really. But yeah, I don't know. But I do want to hoard everything. And eventually, I may die someday, and my niece is going to have to deal with all these. So hopefully, but yeah, hopefully no one else will ever have these Daniel Bryan cards.
So I got 3 more questions. Actually, we'll start with the first. I see, and everybody else can see because this is a video, that all of your wrestling figures and all of your other memorabilia in the background. I've asked this numerous times. So you play in both fields. You're going to be able to hopefully explain this to me and some others that are watching this. The wrestling community loves figures, t-shirts, keychains, all that stuff. they don't seem to care about wrestling cards. We've got all of the sports cards guys mainly coming into wrestling and scooping up everything, and then all of a sudden deciding, hey, this wrestling stuff's cool, which is awesome, I think. But I personally would like to see the diehard wrestling fans be the ones getting these cards. So where do you think the discrepancy is there?
I don't know. And the thing with collecting the figures is that you just run out of space so easily, and cards can just be stored away relatively quickly. I don't know what the discrepancy is. I don't know. I mean, to me, I collect everything. I don't know. I mean, cards are my main thing, then figures second, and then shirts, and then the plaques, and anything else with Daniel Bryan's name on it. But I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's all so cool, and it's all good stuff. So.
Yeah, that's why I had to get rid of. We were talking before we started recording about all my figures, and I had to pare them down because they were just taking up so much room. And do you remember the Mattel Harley race that everybody was chasing after for a while? Like, I found a couple of those on the shelves, and I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'll flip these. And at the time, I think I got like 200 a piece out of them, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good money. But then I saw what was going on in the card market, and I was like, wait a minute, I can make more money to fund my own things in the cards, and they take up less room. So that's why I ended up paring it down. I still think it's cool though, like you said. We're starting to see all kinds of interesting collectibles pop up that are being able to be graded. So I think maybe some like really cool graded figures and those really thick slabs, video games, maybe wrestling magazines. Like you said, it's cool to keep things kind of varied, but I just wonder why people weren't coming into cards very much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to ship the figures too when you sell them. That's
yeah.
So I mean, I have most of mine are still stored at my parents' house. I have free storage rent there. They don't charge me rent yet. So I'd like to sell those. But I mean, you really have to sell them locally, I think, because I don't want to deal with shipping everything out.
I can tell you firsthand, it's a total pain.
Yeah. I've sold a couple figures, and I can't do it anymore. It's just too much. I don't have the patience. I just want the little card. I want a little card in my mailbox. That's it.
And also, like, I know you said you're not going to sell, but if for some reason you had to sell, hypothetically, you could safely put, hundreds of cards into a box and put it in a, flat rate mailer for, $15 or whatever, and get it to where it needs to go and not have to worry about damage or anything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's so much easier than selling just one figure.
Yep.
But hopefully I'll never have to sell my Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. So, and by the way, if you guys are watching this, you got Daniel Bryan cards, reach out to Chris on Twitter and get him hooked up with some cards. Next question is something you may not be able to answer either, but I got to throw it at you because I like to throw this at everybody. You're mainly Daniel Bryan, as we know, so you're focused on him. But we've seen overall in modern wrestling cards this, again, discrepancy of value, I'll say. So, for example, I'm going to take the Topps Living set that we've seen come out recently. I think they're great looking cards. And if you're, a player collector or fan set collector of these, then I think it's a fantastic option. But the problem is we're seeing a lot of complaints of people saying these print runs just keep going down, down, down. Where are the superstars? And my opinion is that's the problem. WWE is not creating superstars for these people to latch onto. If this set would have come out in 1987 or 1999 or 98, these things would be blowing up because everybody was a star. What's your opinion on that as far as like how the modern product is affecting cards?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's so hard to watch Raw, especially sometimes. And I mean, this is kind of another thought for another video, but I mean, they have a lot of wrestlers who have the potential to be big stars, and they just don't want to. They only want to create stars that they want to create, and they don't let things kind of happen organically. But yeah, the living set, I've been a little disappointed with it. I mean, they do look great, but at the same time, you don't, even though there aren't a lot of stars, you don't want to put all the stars out right away, and then people just not buy them later. It's just
right.
The same. But I'm just waiting for the Daniel Bryan in the living set though.
See, and that's a really good, part of being a player collector is like you don't have to waste your time and your money. You just check back in, and whenever it pops up, you buy what you want. And, prime example, I'm a huge Aleister Black fan when it was Tommy End back in the Indies, And when I knew he was coming to WWE, he's ripping it up in NXT. I'm like, man, this is great. And same thing, Killer Cross, really Karrion Cross, whatever. I love those guys, but I don't want to buy their cards because what are they doing? They could disappear tomorrow because Vince just decides, oh, well, they're not the flavor of the month. So that's a huge problem, I think.
Yeah, which Aleister Black has disappeared.
Yeah.
And same with Andrade, La Sombra. It's just, I don't know. I'll get too worked up if I start thinking about it too much.
Yeah, same here. If you got any Daniel Bryan cards you want to show off for anybody, like not necessarily their top ones, just anything you got laying around that's easy for you to pick up, that's just your favorite?
For sure. I have my two most recent cards. So as I mentioned, the 2019 Money in the Bank, I'm trying to get all the gold ones. So this one's number 5 out of 10. I already had number 4 out of 10. Number 6 out of 10 went to someone else, unfortunately. And then printing plates. So I got this one for $15 with tax and shipping. So it actually was,
that's cheap.
Yeah, very cheap. And that's why I picked it up. I think this is the Cyan from the 2014 Road to WrestleMania. There was I think the magenta printing plate from the same card that was listed forever for $59.99, and as soon as this one sold, someone else bought the other one, so I didn't have the chance to buy that and get closer to the rainbow. But I guess my favorite card is the 2020 Chrome Daniel Bryan autograph. This is the one I pulled out of a hobby box on Christmas, so it's got the sentimental value. Most of my cards do have sentimental value. I'm just a big sentimental schmuck. Part of why I can't get rid of a lot of them. Like I have 3 copies of this card, but they all have the horizontal autograph. He'll sign some with the Daniel on top, the Bryan on bottom, and I have to get one of those. So, and I will count that as a separate copy.
In my opinion, any variation that is not like a secondary market variation, any writing or any custom stuff done to it, I would say, count it. And man, that Chrome set is fantastic.
Yeah, they're just beautiful cards. I love, I think with Chrome and Finest, I think they knock it out of the park. I love those cards. I kind of regret not being a set collector anymore, but at the same time, there's like a million cards that I'd have to chase. So
and you're still getting your opportunity to get your Daniel Bryan cards in them. So, and it's weird, like that's Transcendent, Chrome, and Finest. Like those have become something I'm actually looking forward to, and which I can't say has happened in a long time with WWE cards. I'm always just a singles guy, but even though I don't rip, like just having a sealed blaster box to add to like a cool wax collection, and I know what's in there. I know there's going to be awesome singles that everybody's going to want to chase. So it's exciting for wrestling cards.
For sure. I don't have the discipline to keep any of my boxes sealed. I've tried it and I've lasted about 13 hours and I had to open everything, especially the 2017 sets from Walmart that had the exclusive Daniel Bryan tribute set.
Yep.
Still trying to complete. I buy those up anytime I see them, the packs or the boxes. And I'd love to be able to just keep some of this sealed, but I can't do it. I watch your videos. You got the sealed boxes in the background. I think the 2017 Women's Revolution that I think you have, and I'd love to do that. I'd love to. Back when they had cards at my Walmarts, I would have loved to buy up the clearance boxes they had and keep them all sealed, but I couldn't do it. I had to rip every single one of them.
Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes that card you've been wanting is in there, especially if you're not looking to like specifically grade something or looking for this. A Daniel Bryan, I'd say, is like he's a big enough name that they're going to have really cool cards in the sets, but it's not something that's going to be like so rare unless you're, of course, looking for a printing plate or 1 of 1 or something like that. In fact, what do you think is the rarest Daniel Bryan card you've been able to pull?
That I've been able to pull, or in general? I think in general, I don't know. Is it maybe one of the early, the 2011 or the 2012? I think they had the platinum 1-of-1s back then. I've never seen those. I'm sure someone's pulled them. Hopefully they're watching this and they'll want to sell them. But I'd imagine those are the rarest ones because I've never seen them. There are some that aren't 1-of-1s, like the 2011 Classic, the gold variant. I've never been able to find that, but part of it is I don't know how to tell the difference from an eBay auction. So that's another one. But I've only pulled a couple of his autographs numbered to 99 and 199. So I haven't pulled anything really, really rare, unfortunately. I guess the rarest card that I own would have to be one of the one of ones. I have, I don't know, 69 Daniel Bryan one of one.
Jeez, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey.
It's it's always fun, I think, as a player collector when you're getting going, and like you can collect a lot of the base stuff for real cheap to kind of get you started. And then once you start looking at the one-on-ones, it's just like, geez, like how much am I going to have to spend on this stuff? And then potentially fighting other people over them, it can be a headache. So, kind of in closing, what kind of tips or advice would you have for anybody that is a current player collector or would like to get into player collecting?
Yeah, you just have to watch eBay. A lot of the best cards I've gotten because I've gotten them right when the cards were posted. Watch eBay all the time. Hopefully you have enough free time to do that, or if you're like me, maybe you don't sleep too well, and you can buy cards at 3 in the morning.
That I can attest for that. I do that a lot.
Yeah, I do it a lot too, and a lot of my sleepless nights are spent on eBay, which I regret when I look at my credit card bill, maybe. uh, but yeah, that's the biggest thing. Just have the saved searches, the alerts, and whatnot, and and you can save searches for different terms. Like I have a Daniel Bryan tops, I have a Daniel Bryan card, because some people won't put tops in their listing. A lot of people don't know what they have, and they're listing something wrong, and you can swoop in and get a Daniel Bryan autograph relic for $10, which I've done. That's just having all those different search terms and kind of being aware of that, I guess.
Yeah, great tips. Everything you just said is stuff that I do, and I don't think enough people are taking the time to kind of critically think about stuff like that. And that's a great way to get some good deals. So, Chris, let everybody know where they can find you and where they can communicate with you to get you some more Daniel Bryan cards.
For sure. Mostly on Twitter. That's kind of where I hang out the most. My Twitter is at Dingleberry Beret, but there's no I. It's just
a heck of a name.
It's a heck of a name. My favorite song is Raspberry Beret, so I figured it'd be great to have a Dingleberry Beret. Berry Beret. Yeah, that's the biggest. That's the best place to find me.
Well, thanks for joining me today, and thanks for all the great information about player collecting. Yeah, hopefully it will be able to help a lot of people that are going to get into this. What an amazing chat. I love hearing stories about player collectors, and they're going down the rabbit holes of finding these one-of-ones and these odds and ends, and sometimes finding people that have these things priced really high and they've got to go after it because they're a player collector and they've got to have that. Or in some cases, like Chris said, not buying everything. There's just so much that can be learned in the hobby, and I'm really hoping this video brought you guys some value today. Make sure to reach out to Chris. I'll put the link to his Twitter in the show notes. Go give him a follow, and hey, if you've got Daniel Bryan cards, hit him up. Again, if you like this video and you like wrestling cards, trading cards, any kind of collectibles, hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Check out the videos on the screen for more great wrestling card content. Catch you on the next video, guys. Thank you.